at those beautiful works of art. But just before we get into that, I'm actually so excited about it. But let's give you some weather advisory from NIMET, that's the Nigerian Meteorological Agency. And this is for Tuesday, just so that you know what to expect. It's moderate dust haze with a horizontal visibility of 2 to 5 kilometers, localized horizontal visibility of less than or equal to 1,000 meters. What's the point of all of this, right? So you don't get lost in it. Let's give you some advisory how to use this. There will be dust particles in the air. They're essentially suspended. You may have noticed. So it's important for you to use face mask where it is possible. And people with asthma and other respiratory issues should be cautious of the present weather situations. Particularly children and elderly should wear warm clothing at night. Special attention should be paid to your skin, your eyes, your lips. Moisturize your skin and lips as much as possible. I'm sure Enioluwa will be excited about this. And of course, airline operators are advised to get updated weather reports and forecast from NIMET. So please let us be careful. Let's pay attention at this time. Now let's get into our next conversation, one that we're all excited about. We're joined on the show this morning by the man responsible for those, phenomenal pieces of art, works of art which you've been seeing. There's way more than that, but let's meet the man. Dotun Popoola is an artist, curator. He joins us right here in our Lagos studio. Good morning, Dotun. Thank you for joining us on the morning break.
Good morning.
I think the first thing that jumped at us, and Jeffrey was commenting about that, is your outfit. So talk to us, because you are just trying to intimidate us with this art of the thing. What are you wearing? It's beautiful to see.
It's an artwork on its own.
Oh, yeah.
It sounds like a red carpet question.
Well,
like you're on the red carpet.
Sure. Well, I'm a moving art, so everything I represent is about art. And basically, I do more of recycling. So I love trying to represent myself as a Yoruba man first, as an African, and as someone that values, our culture and, our tradition. So even though we still mix a bit of Western, into like my shoes, so we blend everything together. That cultural, is very good to blend cultures together like that. So,
yeah, so this is Adire.
This is Adire from Abeokuta.
Right, and then...
And this is Asho Ofi, or, so made into Kembe.
Right.
So, it goes well.
I love this. This is culturally hip.
Oh, sure.
And Kembe, maybe some education for our younger viewers. Yeah. Kembe is the traditional outfit that is worn by the Yoruba.
By the Yoruba people, yeah. You see Kunle Afolayan wears Kembe a lot of time, and it makes you free, it gives you that... confidence, in the public.
You guys should see me in my Kembe.
Yeah, because I was wondering, what's the idea behind that broad space around the...
Well, it's in a way it gives you more air around your body and
wow,
self-confidence.
I don't know. I'm just looking at him. It's a work of art. So
sure.
I'm trying to picture everything.
Sure.
And it's worn also by traditional dancers in Yoruba culture.
Yeah,
right?
they do a lot of that. Yeah.
So it perhaps gives the fluidity to move.
Everything. Yeah.
Jeffrey.
You can run. You can run easily.
It gives you aeration.
Absolutely.
Why? What did I say wrong?
It's nothing. So let's get into your work.
Can we make progress? Yeah.
We're making progress, absolutely. It's important to understand the thinking. It's functional, it's fashionable, and essentially it's hip. But let's talk about your work. I see these things, and I remind myself that this was done by a human, not a god. This was conceptualized, pieced together by you. How does your brain work? Because I see this and I'm like, these are things you see daily basis, scrap, metal, and you just toss away. But you see them and you see something entirely different.
Well, I just believe that, I believe in this philosophy that greater works shall you do. So I'm doing greater works, and I feel that I'm making impact. I want to make people smile when they see my work. So for me, it's just self-expression and using what you least expected to be something beautiful, using it to create beauty. And that's all I live for. I go to junkyards, pick up scraps that have been trashed, that have lost hope, and I, give them hope. I give them second life. I resuscitate them. I wash them, clean them, disinfect them, and bring them, to life to become a luxury piece. So for most of the works that I do are like what people would call dry bones shall rise again. Yeah, so I just do that, and I feel happy, I feel fulfilled, doing what I think I'm destined to do.
Let's come to this picture, because I wish we can put that lion back, my director, because that's where my question is coming from.
Oh, yeah?
So, for instance, that particular picture, this is a lion, right?
Yes.
So we can see, we don't need anyone to tell us this is a lion.
Yes.
How long did it take to come up with this? How much scrap metals did it take to put together to get here and create this beauty that we're seeing on the screen?
Okay. Well, this particular piece took me 2 years.
2 years?
2 years. This is Lion of Ikate Kingdom. I did this for Oba Said Elegushi, and I had to do a lot of studies, study the anatomy of the subject matter, study the anatomy of a lion. I had to just incorporate a little bit of his culture, telling the Ikate story. I wanted to tell the Ikate story through the lion. Then I wanted to, make sure that I get it right, because in future, you're going to have scholars probably want to do a research on the integrity of, the delivery. So I want them to see that this guy actually paid attention to the veins, the muscles, the expressions, the materials, and the message, the philosophy behind the work. So that took a long time. And, the client was patient enough to say, okay, well, just keep doing what you're doing as long as you give me the best.
How long was the money?
When you say luxury, it's luxury. Understated.
Yeah, I was headed there as well. I wanted to know, what was exchanged for this masterpiece. But Kade's question resonates with me. I'd like you to tell us more about how your mind works. By the way, was this commissioned, or it was an idea that you sold to the Elegushi about what you were going to create, by recreating history and tying it to all your other masterpieces? Do the pictures come into your mind's eye before you begin to create them?
Well, it's in two ways. Sometimes I get clients make requests for a particular piece, like a lion to Ikate Kingdom. It's very symbolic. I mean, to African thrones, generally, you see that most thrones use lion, because lion is the king of the jungle. And for Ikate Kingdom, they would tell you that Atide Adekine, that is being crowned with the crown of a lion. So lion is symbolic to Ikate Kingdom's throne. But some other client will just tell me, Dotun, I just want your name in my house. So whenever I get a client tell me, just make anything for me. So I go extra mile, I go gaga. But when you still tell me to do a piece, I make sure that I represent myself in that piece. Every piece of me is more like giving out my daughter, like giving out Motunde, giving out my daughter to a client. So it's something that comes from the mind. So I live in a very, secluded place where I don't get distracted when I'm working. And with that, I can travel further within my mind, travel out of my mind, and get something spectacular, something you can't just find along the road, something you can't just find anywhere. So art is very deep. Art is very broad. And every artist has their own, spirit-filled, controlled way of doing their thing. So for me, I go into that level and I bring that divine piece out after several studies, meditations, and research on materials and subject matter.
I can hear a lot of influence of a spiritual.
Yeah.
Imagine your religion in what you do. You said greater than this you will do, dry bones rising again.
Yeah.
You made a lot of inference to the spiritual, I mean, the religious. I imagine that plays a huge role. Obviously, I don't even need to imagine. I can see the huge role it plays. I think I was in a hotel recently, and I imagine it was by you, because I don't know if other people do what you do. Perhaps they do, but there's always a touch which your work has. I might be wrong, but it looked like you had a generator, a piece of a generator.
Absolutely, yeah.
That was you, right?
That was me.
It was, I mean, my daughters kept going to it. Like, I think it looked like a cheetah.
A dog, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So beautiful. And I saw a generator, some part of a generator there, just at the hip. Something like this.
Yeah.
Right, but this is an owl. Oh, sorry.
This is a wolf,
rather.
yeah.
Something like this. And I'm always trying to understand if you're also trying to achieve some social change with what you do. Because you said dry bones shall rise again. You know, you pick scrap things that are worthless and you sort of bring them into luxury and all of that. Is that deliberate? Are you trying to also achieve something? Perhaps draw inference from what is going on in Nigeria as a nation?
Yeah, oftentimes I would always say that my work focus on environmental decadence and the need to repurpose the large army of waste that threatens our ecosystem. I have been to several workshops on recycling and repurposing and cleaning the environment. So for me, if you see a generator in my work, in fact, I have about 500, I better pass my neighbor generator tanks in my studio.
How big is your studio, please?
Oh, my studio is big, very large. I have a very huge studio. And, I have this junk pile where I store my works. I store my scraps, really. In a way, I'm saving the environment by collecting these scraps. And, I'm turning those rubbish or trash or things that litter the environment into a piece of art. So, if you look at the statistics, we see that every day, an average Nigerian generates 0.51 kg of waste. 0.51 kg.
Wow. Every Nigerian. We're 200 million.
200 million. You can imagine what we're going to get.
That's 100 kg.
So yeah.
100 million kg.
Yeah. By 2050, the World Bank, forecast that we're going to have about 107 metric tons of waste. I mean, just imagine that a whole state is filled with debris, nylon, plastic, metal waste, and all sorts. It's going to mess up our ecosystem. So for me, if I'm able to say one of my pieces is worth, is as heavy as 2 tons, that means I've been able to take 2 tons of waste out of the environment. Now, in a year, I could do like 10 works or 20. I mean, it depends on how big and how small they are. So imagine the number of waste I'm taking away from the environment, providing job for young graduates. I have about 10 youth corpers in my studio, and I have a lot of apprentices, some IT students from different universities and polytechnic. So empowering them to save the environment. Recently, I had a guy that does his residency within my, space that we're trying to build, a scrap art museum.
Yes, I want you to tell into that.
You at work.
Oh, that's me at work.
Yeah.
So while you're still responding to that question, so that I'll start winding down, tell us about what you're doing with your art museum.
2 years ago, I just thought of, setting up a space where people can come and sit down and be wowed while looking at pieces of art done 100% with recycled materials. And I want people to just get away and come and see. In a way, that center would incubate a lot of recyclers that would use different materials. For instance, in the last 6 months, we had a guy recycled over 3,000 tires. 3,000 tires. I mean, before now, you see people trash tires along the road, and when there is lynching, they just bring tires. You just get tire everywhere. But now you hardly can see that because someone is busy picking them up and using them to create something. Either like a shoe, like a chair, like a table, or like a piece of art. And that is what I want to be. I want to be, leading that aspect of creation.
Fantastic.
That is why we set up the Scrap Art Museum.
I imagine there'll be space for the styrofoams that have been banned by the Lagos State government now in your studio, which is what I'd like you to speak to. But Jeffrey, do we have time?
I understand we don't have time anymore. So I want to thank you so much. I think one of the most important things you said is how you're saving the environment, literally. That's quite phenomenal, because the way you describe it just caught my attention. How many tons of dirt you're picking out in terms of metal work. So we can only say keep up the good work.
Thank you so much.
And maybe one of these days, we've been planning a lot of things as a team. Maybe one of these days we'll shoot from your studio.
Absolutely.
But you're not going to have a metal version of us, by the way.
That'll be awesome.
Dr. Popoola is an artist and a curator. Thank you so much for joining us on the Morning Break. Thank you so much.
I appreciate